Hello. Time to do stuff, like oil pan stuff. That's finally here, like the parts we needed. So we can go get that from Origin, my buddy Mark Abernathy's shop up in Jasper. And we can also go ahead and pick up wastegate relocation pipe he has that we're jigging up so that we can make a bunch of those so that we can throw the car back together finally and get ready for the dyno. I gave him a couple different things so that we've made over the last couple of months. Oil feed line with custom fittings to get around the little tight area of the spa right here. We've got custom drain line. We've got my trick little heat shield we're making for the kit. Bolts to mount the turbo. The wastegate tube itself, 40 or 45 mil with a downpipe that can be recirculated or open. Is there anything else in that kit I'm forgetting before we get started? No, that's it. Got the motor set at 0 degrees, or close enough clearly. One good way to reference that is off of your oil filter housing itself. If you look closely here, 90.4, we've got 90 degrees, so that is perfectly straight up and down for this turbo. And that is not going to work for our drain here, clearly. We're allowed 10 degrees of tilt. So let's go ahead and take this to the max. See, at 100.2, this might be able to arc up a little bit, but then you're running into the issue of not being able to fit right there. We're gonna have to run a 90 right here. So let's report back with a 90-degree fitting on the core. We just used my old line. It actually works really well to line it all up. At 90 degrees on the core there, which means we're vertical on the drain. Let's go ahead and see how we're looking right here. So yeah, that will hit straight on, but say we leaned it just a hair and ran a slightly longer line. What degree are we at there? 81.8. We're within spec here in terms of the alignment of the core. Then we have enough space there to fit, see? Let's bring it to 80 degrees. 10 degree max. All right, I've got an idea of where I'm gonna weld this, and we'll hope for the best. After a little bit of measuring, it looks like we are at 84 degrees on the line, so we do have like a 6-degree downward slope, which is good, even when it's brought up. And then this pan sits at around like 112 at its angle here. Let me see, 119. So as long as we have this plug set at about 84 right there, maybe 82, that'll be the upward angle we need. Oh, and we get to reuse my old goofy looking line because I can chop it right here and then just angle it a little bit, get a hole big enough for this outside diameter to sneak in there, and then we'll weld it from the inside. We will get to drilling out that hole. We need to make sure we drill it big enough to clear the outside diameter of this hole so that we can then slip this all the way in. We'll work it until it can angle up, and then we will weld it into place. Another thing you need to look for when you're doing this and make sure is that this bung, wherever you put it, doesn't interfere with getting this hardware in and out. Thought y'all might want to join me over here. I won't be able to weld it from the outside. It's up top there, so I'm gonna have to do the inside. So we've got the bottom part cleaned. Even though we're not welding on that side, it's smart to get it all cleaned up. Now we're gonna clean up this area here. We'll drill our pilot hole to know where exactly the hole saw is gonna sit. And then I'm gonna electrode wash it with the welder around the outside on either side. Just kind of work out some of those impurities before we drill our big hole. All Alright gang, we just did our first electrode pass. I didn't film it, but there's no filler, bung, anything. We haven't even fully drilled the hole. I'm literally just doing a pass of just the torch with the balance up on both sides there. And now we can, because it's looking pretty clean, you can turn that balance back down a little bit, the weld. But that's just a good way to bring out those last of those impurities. You see all those? And then we'll grind that down smooth. And if we have to lay some beads on it, we will, just to kind of strengthen it with clean metal. And then we'll be good to drill it out and put a bung in it and weld it. It's just a little bit of a trick to make cast aluminum work sense. We're trying to drill this with an upward angle in this hole. Pretty good fit up all the way around. Little sections we'll have to work with, but I mean, honestly, and we can weld really easily on that top part from the inside. So right there. The inside went a lot better, like a lot better. You can see we'll clean up the top a little because this area had a lot of debris in it, but everything else came out really clean through there. And then I'll clean up here a little bit as well once we finish. 26-year-old, is that right? BMW castings are like fucking terrible. This held oil its entire life, so no matter how much you clean it, it can just be hell sometimes. But this one came out pretty fine, honestly, all things considered. I just cleaned up that lip that was sticking out. That's that grinding you see here. And then the outside of these pans is, I mean, hot grind. So you can't expect too much out of it, but that turned out pretty fine as well. I did 2 passes, one upper and then cleaned up with a lower. Yeah, all good. Sealed, will hold oil. No doubt about that. Now I just got to cap the old one. I know this area welds pretty well because that's all basically new metal. I ground and welded this for so long, this area, before I actually put this one in. So a cap will weld easier there than it did here. But now we're able to throw that baffle back in as well. So let's get that lined up here. Here's the baffle. Sets in right there. But with that, we're going to have to trim this area, it looks like, to get all this set back into place. Yeah, we're gonna have to trim right here because of that. So we'll make a little cutout here, and we'll clip them all into their old location like that one just did. And we'll just run a quick bead across all of those and be done. Pan is done. Now these castings suck, so it did fight a little here and there, but honestly it's super sturdy, good penetration, all the things you want. All I have to do is cap this hole here and we will be done. So I'll go ahead and get something cut out for that now. We'll slap that shut and then we will throw this on the motor. Well, the fan shut off real quick. That went a lot better than the baffle and the drain plug did. You know how I told you guys that I had worked that area, like electrode washing and adding metal and stuff like that before I did the original bung? Well, here, I'll show you. Inside, no real issues. You can see there's still plenty of contamination getting into the welds, but you know, it welded much better, like normal welding. That's the only way to really make it work. And I'll do this for y'all if that's the case moving forward. but you just gotta weld and grind and weld and grind and weld. And essentially replace the metal in this area. You can see all this is kind of new and not like that. By just welding it in, it'll bubble and look terrible and have all that blackness that you can see coming out through here, and you can just grind it down and do it again and again and again. This pan is officially ready to mount, so we'll take it over. I got a new gasket for it. Welding a bung or anything into these pans is always, and it didn't fit, always make sure you can get a socket on. Can't just leave that one bolt or something because you think it's going to be fine. It won't be fine. You can even see this old hole. You got to line it up to where you can get to these. Looking over this new drain and feed lines and getting ready to put all this back together. Some things I do want to show you to start. This is what we're going to run off the top of the turbo, and then instead of a 90-degree fitting like we had, you see these 90s sit so high. Even, I mean, Mark has really short ones here, but they still, generally sit really high off of this. So what we did was, we got one of these that we can spin on, and that allows us to have a straight fitting right there. That way we can fully clock and line up this fitting, get everything so that it's not twisting and kinking, because if you see these lines with 290s, you had to twist them to get everything lined up, and it eventually kinked them. You can get everything lined up and hooked up here, and then just tighten this fitting, and then everything is aligned. Look at that height difference. Just so much shorter. So, just an all-around better line. Otherwise, we shortened this as well, crimped it. We'll put the cover back on so it doesn't matter that it's black and silver. This is ready to go as well. I just want to leave the cover off when I test fit it so that we can check the degree with the degree finder. Let's go ahead and throw everything on the motor. New turbo line. You can see already how much better that's going to be. New twist. Where's this? All right. We're going to see if we catch it. Off. Good clearance. Let's go ahead and get this fully locked in. Oh God, I pray this works and I don't have to drive all the way to Jasper again. The only reason I'm driving all the way up there is because of these crimps. When it comes to these oil lines, I just want to be as careful as possible. All right, let's see what this degree's at. So when we put the magnet on, you can see we have a pretty good degree, and it does go flat right here, but this hill should really help. If this doesn't work, we'll build a sump system right here and just run it all together, or maybe a drip tank here that plugs straight in, but I honestly think this is gonna work. But this line up here, this worked perfectly. I mean, we have so much space, we could have clocked this turbo even more. The line's no longer kinking. It makes this turn really nicely. See, plenty of space. Not rubbing and jammed against the block. Ah, shit. And there we have it. I'll go ahead and zip tie that on in 1 second, but I just wanted to show you guys. Hopefully this is my completed turbo feed and drain assembly. Let's go ahead and tighten everything up. Throw the cold side on and get it in the car. It'll be ready soon. There we have a completed core. Feed lines tight in both places, here and here. Aligned, these are all as tight as we'll get them for now. We'll check these because they like to loosen after a bunch of heat cycles of the turbo, so we'll constantly check those. That's how I lost this one. I have this lined up to where we can reach it and put a new one in without taking the turbo off. Essentially, this is ready to get thrown back in the car. Oh. Ooh. Now that that's tight, we'll go ahead and zip tie that into place to make it look nice. I gotta get to this fitting and tighten it with space right here for the coupler, for the air intake. It's good feeling. This is ready. We can go ahead and hang it off the stand on the engine hoist, throw the clutch and flywheel on, and then we'll put the trans on and